For our Aero 320 final project, we created a thermostat system that turns a fan on and off to adjust the temperature in a room to whatever value you set it to. So the overview of how it works is, this is the display. It tells you the current temperature and the humidity and whether or not the fan is on. And there's the Arduino and the temperature sensor in blue right here. And then there's a relay that controls the fan. And then there's this remote control that triggers the relay that's actually connected to the fan. And there's also this remote control, this IR receiver for the remote control, and this is the remote control. So how it works is, basically when it sees that the temperature is below a certain number that you set it to, then it'll turn the fan off. And then if the temperature is above your set number, then it'll turn the fan on. And to adjust the temperature, we've set it up so that you can adjust it up or down using the remote. You can go in increments of 1 degree up or down, 5 degrees up or down, and then there's also a button up here to turn the whole system on or off. So it'll just stop changing whether the fan turns on and off because of the temperature. So let's make sure that's on. So to demonstrate, it's currently 68 degrees and the fan is on. So I'll turn the temperature up to like 83, and we'll see every 30 seconds it will make a change to the fan. So there it goes. So the relay triggers, and then it turned the fan off, and then it indicates that by changing that to say fan off.
Basically, what the code does is input the temperature desired and the measured temperature, and outputs the temperature display, humidity, and state of the fan. Since the only outputs displayed are the integers of humidity and temperature, and the output used as turning on or off the fan, this is a discrete system with no continuity. We can judge the performance of our system by two essential things. We can judge it by whether or not the target temperature was reached, and whether or not the code ran smoothly. The former can be judged simply by temperature measured by the device on the right, which isn't connected to our system, while the latter is judged by things like errors or skips in the code and the fan not turning on or off repeatedly. What you can see on screen is a time lapse of the system running. You can see that and a graph of the temperature as it runs. You can see that the temperature moves down in steps as the code checks to see what temperature it is, and when it gets too low, it kind of bumps back up.
So this is the code for our project. The beginning stuff is just set up, just converting between Fahrenheit and Celsius, including a bunch of libraries, defining variables, all the setup stuff required for the LCD. And then these series of if statements are basically for the remote controller. It is basically if the receiver detects a certain value, then it'll do the appropriate change. This one's for up 1 degree, down 1 degree, up 5 degrees, down 5 degrees. And then this one's for turning the thermostat on and off. This section of if statement is talking about just the LCD and displaying the temperature and humidity and all the information. So there's no statement here that every certain amount of milliseconds it will run through this loop, which just reads the temperature, displays the temperature and the humidity, and if the fan is running or not. This section of code is where the control law actually is. Basically how it works is, first it checks that the certain delay time has passed, so every certain delay time, which in this case is 30 seconds, then it will execute the rest of this loop here. And also the thermostat state has to be true, and that's just when you press the button on the remote that turns the thermostat on and off. If it's false, then it'll never run through this control loop. And then in this loop, basically there's two big if statements. And it basically just says that if the current temperature is less than the target temperature, and the fan is currently running, then it will turn the fan off because the room is below the target temperature. And then this if statement is if the current temperature is greater than the target temperature and the fan is not running, then it will turn the fan on because the room is above the target temperature and the fan cools the room off. And then this just resets the timer for the delay. So that's essentially the control system